Yo, 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 yo. This your boy Larry, and I'm chilling and vibing with the real Randy Chavez. Wh-
Let's
And
not forget
Dashy.
Dashy.
And Dashy. How you doing, man?
Doing all right. Chilling and vibing. But
Hey,
outside of that, just looking for good conversation. Looking to obviously speak to your audience as best I can.
hey, yeah, man. I appreciate you for coming on because I know you're a very busy person, man. So, we're gonna start it off, man. Your investing journey and how did it start? It with Tesla, Pokemon.
It started more with high risk lending, where I got out of the military and I was in college. I was trying to be an X-ray tech because I was a veterinarian assistant when I was younger, and I knew how to take X-rays. Figured this would translate pretty well. But while I was in school, I had a job with my friend Dean. He was just IT guy. He would just run wires everywhere, setting up computers, cameras, and all that. And we go to this one place where there were like a bunch of numbers on the board. This computer is like, what do they do here? Like autism mode kicks in. Like I see numbers, and I say like, what do they do? They're like, I don't. Dean's like, I don't know. They sell money. It's like they sell. Like, tell me about it. And he gave me like a lackluster view of it, but I was very intrigued. It's like, can you like set me up with like this has got to be an interesting crew. It's got to be an interesting place. And he said, sure. Like he was reluctant to do it, but he sets me up with a group text with this guy named Dan. He's been on the podcast, Daniel Hardwick, and he lets us know that certain people that can't get money from banks, because banks have very strict regulations. He says we'll do those deals and those loans for a premium because it's high risk, but they weren't really. Most of them were, but the ones that we did were not. And when you're making 24% on your money every year, and then a lot of times you get paid back early, and that just re-rolls into more deals. You just compound interest is truly the eighth wonder of the world, and that really kickstarted. I started with like $2,000. 2.5 years later, I had $100,000, and I was like, oh, okay. This. So everyone that said like, this is going to be, you've never worked in banking, you're going to lose all your money. Oh, a few years later, they were very wrong. So that's kind of what started it, and then slowly I got into Pokemon and Tesla.
So, do you still got some of your Pokemon collection?
There's this one card that I have that a couple friends of mine, they bought it without me knowing. I listed it on eBay, and they took me to Whiskey Fest in 2022, and they said like, hey, we know you sold a lot of your stuff for for crypto and for this, but this is one of your cards that we bought, and we're gifting it back to you. And it was a Arcanine. No, I'm sorry, it was a Growlithe. It was PSA 10. It was a blue back. It was a Cardask. It was like from '96. It was like one of the first Growlithes ever. I think there's like 9 of them in the world. So have that. That's like my base right now. And as crypto goes up and I get back into it, I'm really going to focus on just trophy cards because getting all of the cards that I want, like the gym challenge, it's a 132 card set. And and that doesn't take up a ton of space, a couple shoe boxes, but I know if I get one set, I'll get another and another, and trophy cards are probably just what I'm gonna go. That's the way to go.
Yeah, I remember I used to collect Pokemon cards, but I just didn't know the value of them. And I wish I did back then, because, whew, life would be a whole lot different.
I had a bunch of friends that said that as well. Like, oh, if I would have known, I was like, yeah, but a lot of the times people have had the unlimited versions and they weren't really worth that much. So that's the maybe one out of every like 40 or 50 people they had like first edition, they had like Charizard, they had the hollows in good condition.
So I see you got the Vivi hat on. What year did you got into Vivi?
That was 2021. I made the account. I got on there and I signed up in February, but I didn't really like get it. And then my lady friend, she has an account and she's like, I didn't know you could use AR. Like I didn't know you could like do this. Like there's no tutorial, there's no like opening video. I was like, yeah, you're right. When I got in, I didn't know what you could do with it. I thought they were just digital collectibles and they're NFTs. I thought they were just JPEGs. So I didn't go in and get anything until like April of that year. It took a few months later. I was mostly just into Omi. But that's the year I got in.
So what's your favorite collect on the app right now?
There's a few. The one that is probably most special to me would be the number 41 gold and silver logo, because that was just a gift from David. That was where I remember him distinctly. Like the first night of San Diego Comic-Con, or like the day prior, I run into him and he's like, "Hey, I have something for you. Come find me tomorrow morning." I was like, "Okay." And then I ran into Vivi Fambam that night, and she's like, "Hey, look what Dan gave me." I was like, "Oh, what?" And it's a gold silver logo card, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And then I was like, "Oh, maybe this is what David wanted to give me." So I go to him and I was like, "Hey, you told me to find you." He's like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "You said like you had something for me." I was like, "I didn't give it to you yesterday." I was like, "No, David, you told me to find you today." I was like, "Oh, okay." So he just grabs one out of his back pocket and he gives it to me. And at the time, so I wound up minting it like that night, and I was like, "Oh, number 41." And then we have dinner together at New York Comic Con, and I tell him like, "Well, having the number 41 logo means a lot." And he's like, "Wait, you have the number 41?" I was like, "Yeah, you didn't like give that to me. You didn't like, you know, make something happen in the background so that I got it." He's like, "No, it's random." I was like, "Oh, I thought I was a little special." um, but yeah, so that one's really special. I think Mr. MC1 gave me a comic. It's the first appearance of Namor. It's a secret rare. That one's good. And then the alligator Lokis I really love. Those are special. And then I would say either Nessie from Loch Ness Monster or the Ice King from Adventure Time. All of those definitely make it in my top
Okay. So is there any IP you would like to see on Vivi?
5. Well, there's a bunch. Take off the jacket here real quick. We got Zelda, Paper Mario, Yoshi, Kirby, Star Fox, Donkey Kong, Pokemon. We get that Dragon Ball Z in there. Fruits Basket, just a lot of anime, a lot of the stuff that I liked when I was young. Sailor Moon. Anime would be really cool. That would be my Nintendo. If we could start off with Nintendo, and then because that's so much IP that might not be as much IP as like Disney because they continuously buy everything. But each one of those stories and each one of those games and the lore is just absolute bangers. And I feel like that would make the app really fun again. Because I mean, right now, like there's so many stories, and we get a lot of them via the comics. Like we get if like not Donald Duck, if some of the Disney characters were like Wolverine, if they crossed over to Marvel, and then like Scrooge McDuck, how he made his first millions, I was like, that's cool, that's fun. But the way we could do that with Nintendo would be incredible. So that's definitely something that I would like to see.
So how do you feel about the Viviverse?
That's a mixed bag because we've been waiting for that for so long. And typically when you wait for something like there's high expectations, and I don't want people to be disappointed because I mean you have Kingdom Hearts 3 that took, I think it took like 14 years to make. The GTA 5 or GTA 6 has been like they've been making that for like a decade. Uh, there's a bunch of things that, and those are great things that take time. I don't know how fun they don't tease us. I think it'd be really cool if they tease us. Like Earth 2, they have these videos that come out like every month, and it shows the game engine, it shows some of the gameplay, and it's like, and they're not showing much. They're not showing like crazy interactions. They're just showing the engine. And I think there are some pictures that surface every now and then. But I don't know how much of a good time is going to be related to how good your computer is and how good the graphics cards are. But the opportunities are endless, and I think that some people might be disappointed at first because it's not Ready Player One. But I think that whatever we get, whether it's good or bad, like that just what happens with certain things, especially metaverses. Like you'll have continuous downloadable content. So the first thing that we get, I hope is cool. but I also know that that's just the beginning. And everything that we get after that is just going to make it better and better and better. There's continuous updates. Like and that's what I love about investing in a company like this. Like I don't have to work for my investment to go up. Like they work and they hire people that work to make it go up. So um, I don't have crazy high hopes for the first iteration, but it's like AI. It's like anything. Like, okay, how much feedback are we giving? Okay, this works, this doesn't work. And let's say we get that in Q1 of next year, and then by Q4 of next year we've got like 6 or 8 updates, and suddenly it's like, okay, this is really cool now. It's really fun. So that's kind of how I see it. It's an unopened blind box. You don't know what you're going to get.
I never been to a con event. How was your experience, man? Like, let me know. Cause I want to come to New York, man. I gotta come.
Which which time, which event, which year? There's been to many cons.
Okay, your first one.
Ooh, okay. The first one that okay, so it was October of 2014. I'm dating this girl named Erica, who's just great friend, beautiful girl. Like good times. And she's a we met in the political activism space, but we both had this like love for pretend for it's cosplay. You wear a costume and you play, and it's like adults having fun. Um, it was great because we got to do like couples cosplays, and it just the whole weekend. It's go into go into shows like at that time. I think when you talk about pop culture, Breaking Bad was on, Legend of Korra was on. I think Walking Dead was on. Like there was so much good quality TV. There was so much good quality stuff that was going on. So all of the panels and all the celebrities were great. Obviously, Marvel is in full swing. You had people being like, "Oh, okay, we had Superman that just came out, and now they're gonna have Batman v Superman. They're gonna have Wonder, like all of these fun things." And then you get the after parties. You get the adult life, and you get. I'm sure there's books written about it and maybe blogs or whatever, but there's a X-rated version of Comic Con. Like you have the stuff during the day that's kid friendly. It's family mostly, and it's fun. And then kind of towards the evening, like okay, it's getting dark. Kids going home. The adult stuff comes out, and then at the parties, like there, how R-rated can we go on this live stream?
Go where you want to go, man.
You can get laid. Like it's pretty easy to get laid there. And one of the ways that you could do it is if there's something called shipping. Do you know what that is?
Ah,
All right, I'll explain it for in the audience. Shipping is when you have this like head canon. Let's say like there's two characters. Like so, Batman and Wonder Woman is a great example. They kind of hinted that relationship in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited from the 2000s, and that's like okay, you take Batman, you take Wonder Woman, and you want them in a relationship. So you ship them. And then if that ever happens, like, oh, my ship is sailing. And if you're Batman, someone's like, or Catwoman or Wonder Woman or like whatever, like if there are two good looking people that are cosplaying as like characters that could be in a relationship, there's a decent chance that you could blink. And there's drugs over there. There's like a bunch of illegal stuff and then you have to know which parties to go to. I think the Sexy Nerds party in New York Comic Con is a big one for that. There's the cruise ship. There's a forget who puts it on, but it's a cosplay cruise. It's around the Hudson, and it's like a 4 hour cruise where everything's overpriced, but it doesn't matter because there's dance competitions, there's food, there's more drinks, and you just have a great time. And it's like a mini Vegas almost. No gambling, but it's what happens on those con cruises stay on the con cruises. So that's and I know that's probably not what people in Vivi are looking for, but for my experience, like that's out there. Um, the Vivi stuff is a little more high class, a little more highbrow. They're a little more family friendly. Or they're very much more family friendly. But if you wanted to get down and dirty at the cons, you can. Or you could have a perfectly G-rated experience or PG-rated experience. So those are my like experiences at cons. Getting a little more PG related as time goes on.
Okay. So, I gotta ask, man, how did you feel when you became a millionaire?
That so I have I guess a couple stories. So I text my girlfriend at the time because I had to go live with someone. I forget who I was going live with. It was October. I'm re so in the fall I always like to rewatch Gilmore Girls because I'm like a white chick at heart, and it's a good show. And I was pretty close to becoming a millionaire. I think Omi was at like 006 or whatever, and I get off the show like 15 minutes early. I stop Gilmore Girls, and then I look like, oh, shoot. And then I was like, I did it. Like, so I text my girlfriend, and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, I did it. I became a millionaire. And I kind of wanted like the moment to myself. But then she called me. I was like, and I was like, hey, babe, I did it. So that was good. Uh, that's like vindication after I mean, because I've had people say like I'm stupid or like this idea isn't going to work for not just Vivinomi, but for the high risk lending, Tesla, Pokemon cards, just counting cards, just gambling, and the fact that this was able to do it like at 30 was pretty powerful. And then I think I made a video about it, and yeah, I did. And one of the other things, a story I like to bring up whenever I bond with someone about parental units. I remember texting my mom. I was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know I just became a millionaire," and she says, "Like, don't forget our mortgage." I was like, "Okay, thanks, mom." Like thanks. So that's really fun. Yeah.
So you had a lot of people that really didn't believe you.
No. Almost no one. Yeah. Even now, after like I've done a lot of it, and I continuously move up and do certain things. It's like I don't know when that level is. People will believe, but one day.
Yeah, man. You inspired me to, man, just to never give up and, keep believing in a project that you feel has a strong community is one and have a strong team, which I feel Vivi has. And a lot of people, they get discouraged and, you know, upset about when things don't go their way. But like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. Everything takes time.
There's a quote from Peppy Hare in Star Fox, and it's like the second level where he says, "Never give up, trust your instincts." And I always like I a lot of times think back to that. I was like, for you, Peppy, for you.
So how was you feeling? I don't know if you had any on bit for it, but when you find out like they had went down, because I had some on there, not a lot, but a few million. What was your thoughts?
Um, that I wasn't surprised because after the FTX collapse in 2022 and every a lot of stuff like banks started collapsing. I was like, okay, guys, I tell everyone get your stuff off exchanges, put on trust self custody, whatever one you're most comfortable with. Don't give out seed phrases or anything. And there was a buddy of mine that had like 150 million, 108, like, however much on there. Like, and I was able to get it off literally 5 days before Bitforex like shut down. And I was like, oh, like, whoo. And he's like, oh, we got lucky. I was like, yeah, we did. I was telling him to do it for a while. And when that happened, I was like, you never want to rub that in. But I did make a video. I was like, guys, this is why you self custody. This is why you don't keep stuff on exchanges. This is not good. If like, and unfortunately people got burned. Well, I mean, they're getting their stuff back now. It seems like, I don't think they've done any withdrawals in over like a week. I think they're circulating. They're circling back to Omi. But when that happened, I was like, yeah, this is not good. Um, I don't know the best way to remedy that. I mean, because we all want exchanges, but if we were to get, I mean, we were supposed to be on FTX, but if we get exchanges, I'm hoping that one, I think the bear market's pretty much over. The full bull hasn't really taken hold yet, but so if we get exchanges or however much more exchanges that Omi gets on, it'll likely be okay. But I still wouldn't take that chance. I wouldn't keep more than, if you want to trade, I wouldn't keep a ton on there. Most of it would be in Tangem, Trezor, Ledger, Trust Wallet. However many of those.
Yeah, what's crazy is how you talking about that, man. I literally watched your video, like for real, for real. When you were saying, "Hey, you might want to take them off the exchanges," I saw that video, and I still didn't do it, which I did. But now I know though, cause
Yep.
like I got my Trust Wallet, and I'm like, man, if I would listen to Randy, I would have all my own me now. But you live and you learn,
Did you
and
get
you
yours
definitely
back
want to
yet,
have.
or still waiting?
No, I'm still waiting. I haven't got it back, but I'm in the process though. Hopefully, within a few weeks
Yeah.
they'll come back around to own me, and I have that.
Cool.
But it was an experience, man. You live and you learn. You don't want to have them when it changes. Because I used to have like when Bitrix when they was able to use in the U.S. I used to have like some coins on there, but you can't use them in the U.S. no more. So I had to withdraw all my assets, and
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for, U.S. exchanges. Because right now, I mean, you could use Coinbase Wallet, but because it's not like Coinbase is the easiest way to get normies on. And if you can't use that, like sometimes Coinbase Wallet is just like that extra step for people, and that's doable. But some people are like, I'm not doing that. It's like,
so what do you think would take Omi to the moon? And what
um,
is your? And I got two questions. That and what is your price predictions within the next year?
there's a couple of things. There would be, I mean, in the past, you've had Marvel. I think when we got Marvel, I think we like doubled. Like the total line went from like 002 to 004. I think when we got Disney, it went up like 80% as well. Um, would Pokemon do that? Or any Nintendo maybe they could do a twofer. Be like, okay, well here's Nintendo, and then they'll say, oh, here's Pokemon. Because Nintendo only owns about a third of Pokemon, so I think maybe something like that. Or if they say, hey, here's Pokemon, and then here's Nintendo, whichever. Um, that would definitely help. A big exchange like Coinbase would help. I would say if they had, yeah, I mean, Binance US doesn't really do a ton of volume, but Coinbase would really help. Maybe Crypto.com, like exchanges, just to get that liquidity. So I've been trying to buy for a friend for a couple days, and it's so hard. I mean, like $4,000 pumps at like 4%, 5%. So you have to wait for people to sell, and then you buy into the sell orders, and that's fine. So definitely exchanges, and then at the end of the day, you just have to wait for the narrative to change. You have to wait for digital collectibles to be cool again, and it'll come. Like anything that people can attempt to manipulate and make money on, they'll do it. Like you just have to, like, corporations are going to do what's good for corporations, and people are going to do what's good for people, and that's what they're going to do. So it'll happen. We just don't know when. And there was a second question.
Your price prediction for Omi within the next year.
If we go, I mean, in a year, we might not have taken off by then. So in a year, we could still be in the triple zeros, double zeros. But when we get the blow off top, and that could be in 6 months or it could be in 18 months. We don't know. But when we get the blow off top, several cents, I'd say 6 to 9 cents, give or take. That's probably, and not that I think that, let's say a 10 cents would be about a $30 billion market cap. Not to say that that's where we should be. Half that $15 billion market cap, 5 cents, yeah. Maybe an OMI, the market cap should only be maybe, 5-10 billion. But because crypto is an inaccurate weighing machine, it's not going to go just to where it's should be valued at. It will, that pendulum will overcorrect and it will swing to where it should not be valued at. So it's undervalued right now. It'll go past to where it is supposed to be valued, and it'll keep going that other way.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember when Dogecoin was where Omi is at right now, and how Dogecoin has shot up. Like I had $10 million when I first got into crypto because it was so cheap, and I was like, man, I'm gonna go ahead and get that. But the guy that told me about crypto, he told me it don't have no purpose, man. No need to hold Dogecoin. I wish I never listened.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I was like, man, that was just one thing that said told me to have patience. So with Omi, I'm having patience, man. I'm having a lot of patience. And then with Vivi, I can have fun with my daughter. Take AR pictures and build those memories with her. Cause
Yeah,
like now she know who Vivi is and what Vivi is.
same. And I mean, it's been OMI was at its peak in I think early 2021. So it's really only been 2.5 years. And with crypto, when you have that 4-year cycle, again, history doesn't necessarily repeat, but it does often rhyme. So I'm not going to say that NFTs are guaranteed to be the last thing that pump, but they could be. And if it is, then we might have to wait to closer to that 4-year mark. Again, it's been going on for 2.5 years. You might have to wait another year and a half. That might be possible. Or again, it could happen in 6 months. It could happen tomorrow. We don't know.
So how was your first experience meeting David and Dan, man, and Reese back in the day?
Um, so that would have been at Designer Con in 2021. We had just gotten Disney. We had just gotten. I mean, it was Reese is so chill. I remember at like the event at one of the hotels, he just sits back, takes off his sandals, feet on the tables, like, ah, Reese, you crazy, bro. And was Dan at that event? Yeah, I'm sure it was that. It was just Dan gives good hugs. And David, he's like, oh, hey, Chavez, like, how's it going? Um, Finding out that he watches my videos is really cool. Obviously, he can't like watch all of them and parse it every word, but having me on the background, I think is kind of fun. I think that's kind of cool. So sometimes he'll be like, "Okay, friend."
That's dope, man. Meeting the founders of this company, and they able to come out and interact with, everybody. You don't see that with a lot of, Apple or Marvel or Disney. And you able to interact with them like how they used to do the AMAs. I know they're real busy now, so they can't even do that. But that's why they hire, saying team. And I like how they hire people from the community also, man. That's pretty dope.
Yeah. So there that's like getting people like first pick in the draft, like because you have insanely intelligent people and highly successful people in the community. And it's like, okay, why would you go outside to pick someone that, doesn't really know the ebbs and flows? They don't know the community wants or needs or concerns. So hiring from within definitely helps. And I feel like, and I don't know if this happens, but if I have somebody, let's say I wanted to hire someone and, as an assistant, and let's say an assistant to I'm going to say prominent for lack of a better word, YouTuber, maybe that pays, 50K a year. But then I get somebody that's like, oh, I'll do it. Like I wouldn't have them do it for free, but like maybe they offer like a discount, or maybe they say like, hey, I'll do it for not as much as you would pay. And it's like maybe VV, that's a way to save some money as well. I mean, right now, with no CTO, I don't know where those responsibilities fall. Maybe it falls to Dan. I mean, if you're the CEO, and obviously everything falls to you. But I think right now, maybe they're just enjoying, if it is Dan, maybe they're just enjoying not having to pay that position. I mean, anything that saves money and adds to the bottom line, I think is cool. Now, obviously, they're going to need a good CTO at some point. And I think while they look, unless they have one already, it's probably nice to not have to pay that salary.
One last question.
Sure.
What advice would you give to someone who will want to become a millionaire?
Um, before you go in and try to go down that road, because there are multiple ways to get there. It's like when Vegeta like Goku's getting his ass kicked by Android 19 or 18. Yeah, 19. Um, Vegeta comes in and kind of saves him, and Gohan says, "You know who just joined the Super Saiyan Club?" And Krillin says, "I thought you had to be pure of heart to reach something like that." And Vegeta says, like, "Afraid not. There's more than one way to reach the goal." There's multiple ways to reach this goal. The way that I did it is I was working 80 hours a week. No, maybe like 70 until I opened up the second business. Then I was working like 80 or 90. And I just grinded. I ate Taco Bell. I kept my expenses exceedingly low. I didn't see a bunch of friends for a while. Mental health definitely declined. I probably wouldn't recommend that. That's definitely not healthy. Um, and obviously I did that in things that had pretty high margins. If I were to try that with like two jobs at like like Walmart and 7-Eleven, it's probably not going to go as smoothly because the amount of money you make is pretty small and expenses are a lot depending on the city you live in. But I would say if you want to try to do that, test yourself first and see how long you can do something for. The younger, the better. Because if you don't, and that's good for two reasons. Because if you test yourself, you know where your limits are, especially when you don't have to know. But if you don't test yourself now when you're young, or the age you are right now, the youngest you're ever going to be, then maybe you might have to test yourself in your 30s or 40s, where you've never tested yourself before. You're 10 or 20 years older, and things get harder. Um, so try it. See how long you can do it for, and learn how to find that balance of, okay, I can't work 80 hours a week because I'm gonna commit seppuku and I get burned out. And 40 hours a week is obviously too little. And so find that balance, like, okay, I can do 60 hours a week for months, and then I need like a break. Yeah, I'll go back down to 43 hours, take a vacation, come back, rejuvenate, charge those batteries. But then find someone who's done it and kind of just get advice, shadow them, get advice, and just see what is how did they do it? Is that something that you want to do? Is you can do it multiple different ways. You do it like open up a janitorial business, chimney sweeper, like opening up your own company definitely helps. Um, but be prepared to work harder than you've ever worked before. The first 100,000 is the hardest, and then after that, it's like, okay, I've done it. I can just do it again and again and again. Um, so yeah, but take breaks when needed. You don't have to do it right away. Um, if you're in your 20s, you want to do it by 30, cool. It's going to be very hard. There's nothing wrong with becoming a millionaire at 35, 40. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Randy, I appreciate you and Dashy for coming to Chill and Vibe. But before we go, let everybody know what we doing.
We chilling and vibing.
Oh yeah. Thanks, man.
No problem. No problem.